It's easy these days to go out and say, I have a formulation, relatively easy. I know it's difficult when you're adding the whole cannabis aspect to it, but I know plenty of entrepreneurs that went to co-packing facilities, went to labs and said, I want to create this, whatever drink that it is. Let's put in packaging, spend the money, and you got to do a minimum order quantity. It's another thing to actually go sell it and get distribution. You've been able to do both. You sell direct as well as through distribution outlets. So, what stores are you in right now? Like, what's your distribution like?
Yeah, so we're currently in a little over 400 stores. Most of them are in the Northeast. We have a distribution chain in Connecticut. We have distributors in Minnesota who also hit Wisconsin, New York, New Jersey, and Austin. We also do some stuff in Texas. And then me being in Miami, obviously Florida. Then we have one-off stores that purchase anywhere in the country, like, any state where this is legal, you can purchase. I can send it to you and you'll have it within 3 days at your house or at your
Sure.
store. So a lot of this is building distribution channels, and that's where the strategy comes in. Like, do I want to build my D2C channel more and hit direct to consumer and have them buy on the website, or do I actually want to go after distributors that are going to put this in stores and then follow up with the stores, follow up with the end consumer as well?
400 stores is nothing to scoff at whatsoever. How did you do it? How did you get the first one? Because going from 0 to 1, that's super hard. Now, obviously, going to 1 to 100, there's a whole other story. But 0 to 1, that's where most startups and founders die. How did you get that done?
Yeah, so I was really, really attentive at the initial conversations when we first launched. Like, I flew out to Minnesota when we did our first ever run, obviously, to not only meet our manufacturers, but also meet our distributors and do the initial pitches. So, in August, as soon as those cans came out of the line, I grabbed, dozen cases, hit every store in Minneapolis. And Minneapolis, I mean, Minnesota is a state where cannabis beverages are already somewhat normal. So pitch is very different over there than it is in Miami when you have to deal with like people here, right?
Sure.
But it was like seeing the conversations with people, seeing the products on shelves. Like, who are our competitors? Why is it that we are positioned next to this can and not this can? How is it that we're better than these products? Because at the end of the day, the more you pitch, just like with your brand deck, the more you pitch to retailers, the more you realize, okay, that's where their pain point is. That's why they're not selling that much of this product or that product. So it was definitely picking the channels, picking the right distributors that are not too big for you, because there is such thing as being a distributor that's way too big for you, where you can't fulfill orders or you're not a priority list. We build small distributors and small manufacturers so that we can be able to follow up well with the feedback we've been getting.
That's fantastic. And then what it boils down to for me, what I've heard is that founder led sales. Like you're still doing it right now. In fact, you are contacting me. We're having this conversation as you're doing founder led sales. It's the same with SaaS. It's the same with any type of company. Literally, like if you have software, you have an app, go literally walk up to someone and say, I want you to use this, watch them use it, get feedback. It's the same thing you are doing. It's really grinding it out. And that's been the secret. And, you're all in on this, which is one of the reasons you're a great founder to invest in and to follow. And just letting everybody else out there know, if you want an introduction to Shadi, you want to invest in Milonga, let me know. More than happy to get you some good terms on that. Let's talk about direct to consumer. What has that looked like in terms of social media, marketing, advertising, and getting product out, like setting up a website? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's a lot of steps, and that really depends. Like, my experience and what I can speak on can be very different from what maybe some of the founders that are watching the show are, where they have multiple founders, right? They have like the person doing online, the person doing distribution, the person doing marketing. I'm still wearing most hats. My dad is wearing some of the other hats, but we've realized like we need to pick our battles because there's only 24 hours in a day, and we need to know what channels we're going to go after first and then see off that and pivot our strategy to that. So when we first launched, it was retail. Like, we even barely had a website. The website was not at all appealing, but I was just interested in, I want to sit down, I want to have people try my product, and because we have an experience with our product, I want to not only have them try it, ask them 2 hours later, how are you feeling right now? I mean, what are the effects of this? And then be able to pivot our marketing strategy. So now that we already have somewhat of a strategy on the online side, in D2C, that's when we can build our website. We got a developer. So I did like one-off hires to be able to build the website well, build the design side of things well. And cannabis is in a unique moment right now where you can purchase our products online and for no problem if you're in the US, right? Whereas you can't do this with alcohol. So we realize, okay, this is interesting because we have a plus that alcohol doesn't have today, which is that you can just buy this.
Yeah.
If you want to buy a six pack of Bud Light, you can't have this shipped to your door. You need to go through a third party app, being Drizzly or whatever, other delivery services. Whereas with us, no, we're getting the sale through Shopify. We're on Shopify. like the channel is very new still. I'm learning as we go. I'd love to give you a bunch of answers, but I don't have them. But what I do know is before we went that online channel, I realized what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses. I said, let's go retail first and then build D2C after.
That sounds like a great strategy. Play to your strengths. That's something that founders need to have more than anything is just have that level of self-awareness and to have the people in your life like co-founders and advisors who can be helping you make those decisions. Super important.